Hello, today I just want to show you how the bits of this card go together. Okay, I've been using the Couture Creation Steampunk Dreams papers, and this is just a very quick, simple card. Okay, I haven't stuck the layers together, which is why I'm holding very tightly here, because I want to show you what goes on underneath before I actually stick it down. So, let's see what we've got. So I've started with a white card blank, and I'm using it's cut down from an A5 card blank, so it's 14.85 centimeters square. Okay, and it's a white card blank, and I just put some brown and some grey ink around the edges to tone in with the rest of the card. Okay, and then I've got my papers from Steampunk Dreams, and there's this one. It's a double-sided paper. Difficult to decide which side to use, but I thought this one contrasted well with the other paper I'm using here. This piece is a section from one of the other papers. Again, it's double-sided. It's got this lovely butterfly on it, so I've cut a square around this, and I think I've ended up at 13.8 centimeters square. And then I've used a craft knife to just cut around the wings so that I can lift them, and to make sure they lift up and don't get stuck in their kind of groove, I put some foam pads on the back, but I won't take the back off the foam pads so that the wings can come up further and can move slightly. It gives the card a nice sense of movement. So the other thing is, because you've got cutaway pieces here and bits around the butterfly, I've needed to cut my double-sided tape away there to make it thinner, so that I don't end up with tape in my aperture. And I will use some wet glue around the edges of the butterfly to make sure these bits stay down. Okay, and then for my sentiment, I've used there's a set of tag dies in this collection, and they come in 3 different sizes. Here, and I've just used the smallest one, and I've used the sentiment set, lovely set of sentiments in this collection, and I've used the Happy Birthday Beautiful, and I've stamped that with some embossing ink. I've used Versamark, but other brands are available. To be honest, any pigment based ink that dries slowly would be fine to stamp it in, and then I've used gold embossing powder, and I say any colour because once you put the embossing powder on, it doesn't matter what colour you've stamped it in. I say I've used Versamark and embossing powder, and that's embossing powder that you need to heat set with a heat tool. Okay, and then some just rustic string on there. So I'm going to put the card together and then just show you how it all works when it's together. So just bear with me. Okay, so I've stuck the first layer down. That's in place. I haven't got to hold that still anymore. I'm just going to use some glue, a fine tip nozzle, and just add some wet glue to the back of this paper in the places where I don't want it to pull up with my butterfly wings. Now it's around there. Around here, maybe across the middle. Yeah. Around the wings. That little point. Just to make sure that when my butterfly moves, it doesn't pull the middle of my paper up. And I've used double-sided tape, and I've just flipped the ends out. That means I can put everything in position before I actually remove the backing. Okay, so put that down with an even border all around. So I can hold it at these 2 corners and slide it about till I'm happy, and then stick it with a corner, check again, make sure everything's straight. That hasn't gone down straight. With a big hole in the middle of the paper, there's a good chance it could wriggle. That's it. There we are. That's better. Right, okay, so those corners in place. I can take my tape out. And the rest of it will just kind of fall naturally into place. And then I can go around my edges and make sure my glue hasn't seeped underneath my butterfly wings. Make sure the centre is stuck down. You can see how my foam pads under here are going to keep my butterfly wings from going all the way down. That's it. Now when I cut this out, I did also use some ink around the edges of the butterfly and around the edges of my paper and on the edges of my paper, just to get rid of the kind of the white line that you get when you cut. Warms up the look of the card as well. It's a very kind of grey paper, lovely texture. Now I've used for my foam pad, excuse my arm, I've used Couture Creations, these black foam dots. They're a nice thick foam pad. And then on the back of my tag here, I've cut a bit of the waste that the dots come out of, just to lift that up a little bit at one end. And then I'm going to stick that down. I'm going to use some gel medium for that. So let me just grab that. This is what's then used for mixed media, but it's like a thick acrylic glue. I'll just find a few dabs of this on anything that needs a bit of dimension or is an awkward shape. And for things like ribbon and string, it's really good. I can put some on the back of here in amongst that string, and that won't sink into the string. And I can put some on my string so that when I stick my ends down, they'll stay where I put them. There we are. Take my covering off the back of the foam pad and use that to stick that end. And I'll just slide that into there. Stick that end, stick that end. I can wrap my string. Dries nice and clear, so there we are. So there's my completed card. Okay, and I've done it as a tent card. Thank you for watching.